Good morning, gamers, and welcome to another Say's Take. I am so excited about this one. You guys know how I feel about quality of life, and Jagex just this morning dropped a blog post titled Gathering Quality of Life, Trouver Changes, and More. Yes, this word is actually pronounced Trouver. I've been calling it Trouver for years, and I did not want to butcher this title. So it's Trouver, guys. It's French. We're back with another spoonful of quality of life changes, this time with a focus on gathering skills and activities, though there's a good spread of things here, even if you're not specifically interested in gathering skills, including changes to the Trouver system, sailing cannonball production, and last man standing rewards. There's no perfect way to split these up, so we'll group them loosely on a skill by skill basis until we get to the exceptions, and try to keep things brief so that you can get back to your grinds until the polls roll around. All right, so I'm excited about this, guys. I really am. I just when I see quality of life and then the first thing is mining, I get a big smile on my face. This is how autistic I am. All right. In the spirit of blast mining, we'll kick things off with a bang and arguably one of the most popular mining adjacent suggestions we see: gem bag expansion. Last month, we added the pristine spider silk to Seracnus, which can be combined with the herb sac to make the silk-lined herb sac, increasing its capacity from 30 to 100 of each herb. Today, we'd like to propose a similar quality of life plus reward space approach to improve the gem bag, add a modern reason to visit an old boss, and tie in some sailing resources to the wider game. To do this, we're proposing a series of new gem storage options for semi-precious gems, opal, jade, and red topaz, that you can level up as you progress toward the brand new gem sack. So, all right, we got the gem pouch here requiring level 12 crafting, and it uses linen, thread, and silk. So that is a sailing seed, like the getting linen or linen. That actually just comes from flax. You can just spin flax and it makes linen. Which stores 5 of opal, jade, and red topaz. And okay, 5. Anyway, let's continue, and then I'll have some thoughts. Obviously, gem satchel requires 39 crafting. Requires hemp, thread, silk, and gem pouch to make a satchel, which stores 10 opal, jade, and red topaz. Gem tote requires level 81. Guys, Jesus fucking Christ! It jumps from level 39 crafting to 81. What is going on? All right. Like the amount of XP, it's actually funny because like you see the levels, it's like, yeah, you just jump like, 40 levels or whatever. But like the actual amount of XP, like 39 crafting is, I think that's genuinely not even 20k XP or like something like 20k XP pretty much. And then you jump up to over 2 million XP. It's just ridiculous. But all right, let's hear it. Let's hear if I'm out, Stores 20. So this one stores 20. So it goes 5, 10, 20, and then they have the gem sack, not to be confused with the gem bag that we currently have, which requires 81 crafting as well. Requires gem tote, existing gem bag, the one that's currently in the game, and immaculate moleskin to make a sack 60x of all uncut gems up to Dragonstone. Okay, interesting. Now, can I just offer a suggestion? Storing 5, really? Okay, so what this looks like to me is 5 and 10. What this truly looks like to me is no player and no account on the face of Gielinor will make these. I mean, they will have to make them because they're going to make the gem tote and eventually combine it with the gem sack. But there is seriously just no reason really to be having something that only holds 10. So I would offer this suggestion. Make it so the gem pouch holds 20, the gem satchel holds 40, and the gem tote holds 60. Because the gem tote is going to be combined with the normal existing gem bag anyway, and then all of a sudden they all hold 60. Like, why not just make the gem tote a like that like should hold 60 of the lesser gems, and then you just combine the two, and then it holds, and then you just have one item that's the gem sack, that's like the gem bag and the gem tote combined into one. You know what I mean? Because if I get at level 12 crafting hold 20, that would actually feel more reasonable. And then at level 39, being able to hold 40 of the lesser gems. Again, this is not including sapphires or anything like this. Right now, these two are, I mean, these 3 ultimately are just pure shit. Like, nobody really wants to just use this. I would, I mean, and think about this. I mean, when you're gem mining, for example, I mean, they're bringing up this picture of like gem mining. You get red topaz like way less than you ever get opals. So this fucking bag is gonna fill up instantaneously. Every single trip, it's gonna fill up with like the gem tote requiring 81 crafting. Every single like lap you do, this thing will fill up every single time, pretty much. So it's this constant emptying at the bank chest anyway. So this thing's fucking useless already, only holding 20. In fact, if I could truly just have it my way, I would want to see like it hold, I don't know, this one holds 30, this one holds 60, and then the gem tote holds 100, and then we just crank up the gem bag to 100 just without any real update to it. I mean, I would say keep making the bags in line with like 100. Like I love the silk lined herb sack holding 100 herbs of each. I think the gem bag should do the same thing. Just make everything very streamlined and consistent. Make it all 100. Again, my opinion. I would love to see this be like a gem bag eventually that can just hold 100 of any type of gem, including onyx and including zenites. Honestly, like why not? Like the fact that it can only hold up to dragons, I was like, why not? Why not just throw in onyx and zenite just for the hell of it? You know, some random psychopath on Reddit will just end up buying 60 or 100 or however large the capacity is of just like all zenites in his bag just to flex. You know, like I think that'd be interesting. So listen, I mean, again, you could go about it in multiple different ways, but the holding 5 is just absolutely stupid, and the holding 10 and even the 20 is just stupid. This is so low, especially holding 20 when you have 81 crafting. So again, I'm just going to reiterate how I feel about this. I would love it if the gem pouch. There's two different options. I'll offer the option I would ideally want most, which is gem pouch would hold 30, gem satchel would hold 60, gem tote would hold 100, and then the gem sack would hold both or every single gem across the board up to 100. And without any additional impact, I say the normal gem bag should just automatically be increased to 100. So the normal gem bag that's already in the game right now, regardless of any additional update, I think that should just be able to hold 100. I like that number more. I like it if the silk lined herb sack, the upgraded one, holds 100 herbs, and the gem bag holds 100 gems of all gem types. That would be amazing. So now, if we don't want to, if for some reason there's some issue about holding more than 100, then at least make it so the gem pouch holds 20, gem satchel holds 40, gem tote holds 60, and then the gem sack, obviously combining them, everything is all gem types can hold 60. So yeah, that's how I personally feel. I do like that they're using sailing components for this. That's really interesting, and I love that it's actually crafted. So ultimately, you do have to get the Immaculate Moleskin to eventually make the combined version, which I think is sort of interesting, and it does just come from Mole, which we're going to see. So yeah, that's my personal view. I just think these two especially are just never going. You're only ever going to make these just to make the gem tote. It's just stupid in my view. So it's just like genuinely what account wants to take up an inventory spot to like hold 5 opals? It's just very weird. That's right, the future is now. Marginal convenience increases for mining gem rocks are here to stay. We're keen to hear your thoughts on this upgrade path, considering this is one of the first times we're adding something new that requires a resource primarily obtained from sailing content. Those linen, hemp, and cotton seeds building up in your bank are sure to come in handy here. You'll only be able to have one of these at a time alongside your regular gem bag, so make sure to keep it upgraded as soon as you're able. You'll also notice that the final upgrade, the gem sack, requires some Immaculate Moleskin. You're a bright bunch, so there's no prizes on offer for guessing that this will come from the giant mole, who's fallen a little out of favor in recent years, unless you're a pet hunter or an Iron Man who really doesn't like Hunter. We're proposing a 1 in 50 drop for the Immaculate Moleskin from the giant mole, with the ability to hand dupes in to Wyson for 5 bird nest rolls. Additionally, we know this is likely to make the giant mole a little busier in the short term, so we're also proposing an optional instance at the giant mole for a price of 25k. Beautiful. I love that. This falls like perfectly in line with what they did with Seracnus. Seracnus is also a 1 in 50 for the whatever it's called, for the upgrade for the silk lined herb sack. And this works out perfect. Again, genuinely my only issues. I love what they're doing here. I want to make it clear. Like I absolutely love this. And I know I always get like really hung up on little teeny gripes and I make it seem like a big deal. But ultimately, Jagex is doing what's right here. I just want this gem pouch to actually mean something. And ideally, having it hold like 30 or something, and then the satchel holding 60, that feels worthwhile. It feels like going out of your way to do that is actually worth your while. The gem tote holding 100 would be so ideal. That'd be so cool. And then the gem sack combining the two, every single gem type can hold like 100. Or why do I keep saying that? The gem sack could hold 100 of each type of gem. So I keep confusing my words. Anyway, I love this, and I think there is just so much potential for this, but I just want to make it feel good. I want to make it feel in line with the silk lined herb sack, especially, and that's just very important to me. So cool. I love that. Other mining tweaks. The majority of changes in this section and this blog are smaller in scope, so we'll keep them concise in an easy list format. Here's a rapid fire list of tweaks you're sure to love, or your money back. Get it? Or your money back. Allow infernal tools such as the infernal pickaxe, infernal harpoon, and infernal axe to be recharged using a smoldering stone when they still have charges remaining. This means that you can, or when you see yourself running out of charges and on your last couple, you can recharge to fill without having to specifically wait for your tool to run out of charges. Allow infernal tools burn effect on the infernal pickaxe, infernal harpoon, and infernal axe to be toggled freely. That's beautiful. Allow the expert mining gloves effect to apply to runite golems as it does to standard runite rocks. That's awesome. Improve the rate at which players can obtain their ore from runite golems, since they often respawn before any ore can be obtained. Yeah. And also allow additional rolls on the runite golems for extra ore on mining success scaling with Wildy Diary tier as followed. So the medium, chance of receiving up to 2 per mining action. So chance to receive up to 2. So what's the chance? Like, what are the odds of that? Chance to receive up to 3 and chance to receive up to 4 per successful mining action. That's insane. And then you can just note it, I'm pretty sure. There with that guy, like that files guy out there. That's insane. Okay, this genuinely might be. I mean, seriously, if you have expert mining gloves and you're gonna like 1.5 tick the little, or no, I guess not 1 point, it would be just 3 tick kind of, but you're getting a double roll. Yeah, I mean, this would be really insane if you have the elite diary. This is actually something I'd want to test if it gets into the game. This would be crazy. Now, how do I really feel about having some really dope, mining method, just as like a literal skilling method that's profitable to just be out in deep, deep, deep wildy? I just think it's odd, and we don't need to do that. Some people could disagree, but whatever. But it's still interesting, It gives at least the resource center some reason to go there. Now that dark crabs, by the way, just kind of suck with all the sailing food out. So allow players to claim noted day alt essence from their respective shards. This one's largely for the UIM players among you, since they effectively can't interact with day alt essence at all at present. Allow the celestials. By the way, that is beautiful. That's a great idea. Listen, I want to offer one more thing. So if there's any buddy on the team that's working on these updates, listen, I would love this change, and I think every player would enjoy a change like this. So think about it. You know how the day alt mine down there has only one active vein and it changes about every minute or so? What if you had the elite Mauritania diary done? You have 2 active veins going at all times. What that ends up meaning is that you can stay at one of those day alt rocks, and there's a chance that one doesn't end up decaying after a minute, but it stays there because there's always going to be 2 active now. So it would kind of feel like salvaging spots. You know how in many cases there's like 6 total salvaging spots and 4 are active and they just kind of rotate. It's pretty rare for both spots to be depleted. Obviously this is a different case. This is saying that there's 6 spots and there's 2 in each. But like this would feel very similar to that, where if you have 2 active veins going for the elite players, they can end up AFKing for longer. Now it still could be the case that it does deplete after a minute and then the other 2 are lit up and not the one that you were just mining at. But there's a chance you could go like back to back to back to back to back and AFK for like a full 6 minutes or 7 minutes. Why did I have to say 6 and 7? That literally just came out so naturally. But like that could be the case. That would be amazing. Does anyone have an issue with that? I think that would be an amazing quality of life update for those that have completed the diary. It would just feel cool too. Like it would be interesting to see how long you could get that like back to back to back going and just like have a huge ass AFK at one particular one that's just lit up for seemingly ever. That'd be really cool. So allow the celestial signet's mining enhancer effect to apply to day alt shards, giving players a chance to receive an additional +1 day alt shard on a successful mining action. Okay, listen, this is assuming the charged version, right? Like they have to use Stardust for that to get additional. Listen, if you're gonna use Stardust, you can't just make it +1 day alt shard. You have to give it plus another roll at it. Like I think that is the way you go forward with using Stardust, because in a lot of places, Stardust just really isn't worth consuming because it's like the benefit is just not worth it. Like, would you seriously rather have just one additional day alt, I guess, per Stardust? I mean, I guess it kind of works out, but I think it would be much better because like right now, I think when you're mining day alt, you get 2 to 3 shards, I think, every single roll. And I would love to see the Stardust actually give that same thing where each Stardust consumed, every single mine that happens ends up giving you 2 to 3 Stardust instead. So just be a little bit more of an incentive to actually bring a charged ring there, because I don't think many people are using their charged rings at many places because it just doesn't feel worth it. Most people would just prefer to buy gem bags or gem sack or gem, what are they called? Now I'm confused. Like they have the gem, bag of gems. That's what it's called. Yeah, but we have the gem bag, the gem sack, and the bag of gems, and the gem pouch, and the gem satchel, and the gem tub. This is all fucking confusing. We'll get used to it. All right, Hunter. Whoa, I just like almost ran out of air. I almost died, guys. All right, Hunter. We've all been there. Head to your salamander rumor. Forget to bring rope bank. Come back. Start hunting salamanders. Lose focus. Look back at your screen. 2 ropes and 2 small fishing nets have been lost to the void. Log out. Yeah. Not only do net traps introduce a strangely high amount of inventory pressure, they're also the least forgiving when it comes to losing focus after a failed attempt at trapping a salamander. We're proposing the ability for players with level 29 Hunter to combine rope and small fishing net to make stackable net traps. I said that weirdly because the I in fishing is capitalized. It looks like an L, actually. Which can be traded with other players and stored in the Huntsman's kit. You'd also be able to pick these up at the Hunter shop for a reasonable price, and you won't be able to dismantle these back into ropes and small fishing nets. Okay, this is really nice. This is actually a truly nice change to Hunting Sallies. Let's see what they say. When a net trap fails, it will enter a failed trap state, similar to a box trap, where you'll have time to reset the trap, rather than needing to pick up the components from the floor and set back up the trap back up from scratch. Yeah, that's beautiful change as well. We're like to extend this reset without needing to replace. Listen, guys, I know I'm a terrible reader, but like when there's typos and stuff, like it makes me more cautious about what I'm reading. So oftentimes when I'm like misreading things, like I have that just like potential, like did they type this out right? Like I'm always concerned. Like here's another, and I'm not trying to flame Jagex. It's just like sometimes I get like I'm reading something and I'm in the moment thinking, am I the one reading this improperly, or is like was just typed out improperly? Oftentimes it's just me misreading it, but like there are the situations where they do it. So what am I saying? All right, let's continue. Reset without needing to replace functionality to more trap types while retaining the ability to replace them if you'd prefer in certain scenarios like tick manipulation and box traps or box trap methods. Okay, so yeah, another beautiful change. It always felt a little archaic having the net and the rope just sit on the ground ready to despawn. Additionally, to alleviate some annoyance when engaging with deadfall or pitfall traps, we'd like to allow players to construct these traps using logs that are stored in the log basket. That is gorgeous. Yes. Logs in your inventory would still be consumed first, but you'd be able to stock up at the bank in advance and chill out a little more than racing between respawns for trees while you investigate a rumor. This is such a great change. Well done, Jagex. So good. Can we also talk about this? So I just started Hunter Rumors on Dirk Steel. and I've been loving it. First off, I'm 82 hunter. I'm just gonna like try to jump up to like 93-ish. Spoiler warning. Oops, I probably should have done that for the series. But what we need is so I've been hunting those sunlight antelopes. And they're great. You know, it's nice that they never jump over the trap. By the way, saber-tooth coyotes are the most fucking frustrating thing in this entire fucking game. I swear. Those things jump over your trap 80% of the fucking time. Setting up my block list was tilting me out of control. Can we just make it so coyotes and whatever the horned groks are and the spined rupia or whatever are all those pitfall traps, can we just make it so it's always 100% success even at low levels? Like seriously, if you can get the level to do it, these monsters should not be jumping over things, especially the fact that you can't even go to the same trap again and jump over. It's like you need to go jump over another trap. So you set up another trap and it jumps over fucking that one too, and you're just like out of control tilting, and it's due to no fault of your own. It's just RNG. So sorry, I'm on one right now because I'm in the middle of this grind and it like pissed me off setting up my block list, and it's just it's unnecessary. It's just unnecessarily punishing to players, and there's no way to avoid it. It's just nonstop jumping and it's janky. I mean, your guy like freezes, and you know what? Now that I'm here, I'm just gonna spend a few minutes explaining a few more things I'd love to see, because we have this beautiful section that we're trying to adjust Hunter. Let me pull this back up again. We're trying to adjust Hunter, and we have a couple nice changes, but there's so many additional changes that can be made that could make Hunter Rumors truly the most riveting and engaging and like flow state-esque content you could possibly ever get. There's just a few mild inconveniences that are had, and so I'm going to just list a few, and I would love if these could be implemented potentially. So sunlight antelopes, when I'm killing those, I love the fact that they can't jump over the trap. That's beautiful. 100% success rate. That was a wonderful change, or just a wonderful update to just say, hey, you can't fail this. But what ends up happening is if you don't have the inventory space, the meat and the fur go on the ground. They can't go into an open meat sack and fur sack, or fur pouch. So we need that to automatically go in there every time. Even if you don't have the inventory for it, it should prioritize going in there if you have space in those bags. The other thing is, when you don't have the space and it ends up dropping on the floor, you pick up the meat and you pick up the fur with these empty bag, or with these, yeah, I mean, there's still space in these bags and they're open, and they don't automatically go in there. They go to your inventory first, then you got to manually click them to put them in. So why is there even an open and a close option on these bags and pouches if they can't even function like the gem bag equivalent or the herb sack equivalent? So let's adjust that one. The other thing is falconry. I think falconry should not have that stupid stall. Whatever you guys did with telegrab was so beautifully executed. Like, telegrab is the most amazing spell these days, and it's because you just got rid of the clunkiness. You got rid of the stickiness. This is always what I'm talking about. Get rid of the clunkiness and stickiness of the game. So falconry, I do understand that the point of falconry at the moment is to get as fucking close as possible to the kebbit to finally launch it, and then it's like the fastest throw ever. It's like a one-tick throw. Boom, you're there. If you were to, attempt throwing a falcon 6 tiles away, if you fail that, well, one, if you catch it, it still takes forever. Your guy just has to stand there and watch. You can't move at all until it's like fully grappled onto the kebbit. But if you fail it, it's like the fucking falcon flies back like 2 times as slow, and it is just taking its dear goddamn sweet time to come back to you, and you cannot do anything for genuinely a total of like 12 ticks. I mean, it just straight up, it feels like you're sitting there for 12 ticks without being able to interact with anything, move your character. It is a terrible feeling. It is a terrible feeling. We can, just until the end of time, accept that that's just how falconry has to feel like pure shit till the end of time. But we could just fix that right now. Just do exactly what you guys did with telegrab. Make it so you're not being stuck to the ground randomly for that. So falconry needs that change. And then there was one other thing, which was, I mean, there's a bunch of other things, but there was one other thing I was considering, which was deadfall traps. Why are you only able to set up one deadfall trap at any hunter level? or sorry, deadfall. Yeah, deadfall. Yeah, because the pitfalls are the ones where you actually like set up the little logs and they jump over it. But the deadfall ones are like you just set up the little like boulder and it crushes something, and you can only literally set up one at a time at all times. Like there's just no ever getting to being able to set up two. What the hell is that? Like getting a Firefox task or getting any of those tasks is just terrible because you can't like you can't set up more than one. You're just waiting there awkwardly. It's terrible. It's the most terrible feeling. So anyway, please adjust that. And then I guess the last thing, I guess there is just one more thing, which is just making it so jumping over things. This is kind of reverting back to the pitfall traps. Pitfall traps, it's like I love the animations. I love that they do stuff where like you're jumping over a trap, but like I'm really not a fan of this having to approach an obstacle. This happens across the board with agility. When you like run up to an obstacle that you're about to jump over, you click the click box and your guy stands there for 2 ticks and then he finally jumps. Like where the wouldn't you want that momentum? Wouldn't you want that running up momentum to be able to jump over something? This whole game doesn't utilize what they could utilize, which is allowing you to jump something the very tick you've arrived there. So, you know, a good example is like clicking a banker, for example. There's not a banker right here, but like if you click on an NPC to bank, but if you're 2 tiles away, you by clicking him, if you're within 2 tiles, it instantly opens the bank that very tick. But if it's a bank chest, you have to actually wait until you're there and then it opens a tick later. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't feel as good. It feels so much better to click an NPC to bank. And that same feeling can be had with agility obstacles where you're running up to an agility obstacle. Like think of Arty rooftop course. You know, you're running on Arty rooftops and you approach you're running full speed to jump over a roof, and then your guy stands awkwardly for like 3 seconds and then makes the most jank ass jump, multiple jumps into different planes of existence, and then jumps to the next roof. This could all be totally smoothed out if we just gave it a little bit. I mean, rooftops were created in 2013 with like 2 devs on the team, I swear, and like no art assets whatsoever. So that all needs to be changed in my view. But like the same thing could be done with these hunter tasks where you're jumping over these pits. Can we just make it so it's instantaneous? Stop with the like approaching the obstacle and then jumping over it. Make it so everything feels good and smooth and fast and rapid. Like you can make hunter rumors, like these little tasks, feel so much better with these tiny little changes. Like you can make it feel unbelievably better with these tiny little tick saving things that make the game feel smooth and responsive and mechanically satisfying. Like truly, like we as humans love mechanical feedback. We like that clicking something and feeling like things are happening quickly and rapidly when you clicked it. And so we need more of that. We need to stop with these random 1 tick delays before any action occurs. It's just makes everything feel terrible. We're all used to it, so none of us really are gonna, you know, raise our pitchforks because we've all just been dumbed down into thinking like this is the way RuneScape needs to be, the most clunky thing of all time. But it really doesn't need to be that way. And so anyway, I'm gonna stop with this ramble now and continue on with the blog post. But I needed to just rant. Farming. I'm gonna take a sip. I went to Taco Bell this morning. I'm kind of slipping back into that degeneracy diet, you know. So, but I wanted to get one of those dirty Baja Blast. Diet Baja Blast, by the way. I'm not trying to drink a total bucket of sugar, just chemicals. But everything's chemicals at the end of the day, you know? All right. Farming's somewhere between gathering and production as far as skills go. But we're including it here all the same. I'm just preparing you guys right now. Exit the ramble, exit this save take right now if you don't want to hear me start yelling again for the next 10 minutes, okay? I'm just warning you right now because we're on the farming thing and I have a lot of fucking shit to say. So, we're including it here all the same. There's no scene stealer here, just a collection of changes that we're sure will add up to more than the sum of their parts. Add a right-click deposit all to Tool Leprechaun so that you can quickly dump your tools or offload buckets en masse. Allow player. By the way, I do think there should be, if you're going to add this deposit all, what I personally love to see is a lock, a lock tool leprechaun, how am I trying to say this? A lock space. So you know how like in the bank, let me just pull this up really quick. I'm struggling right now. You know how you can lock slot in your bank? You should be able to lock slot in the tool leprechaun. So the tool leprechaun has like 8 or so different like things that kind of look like a GE menu sort of, and you can like click from there. They should allow you to lock those slots. So if you do click the deposit all with the tool leprechaun right here, that there are some that are locked. So for example, if you locked the secateurs because you just wanted to keep the secateurs on you, you could still do deposit all and deposit everything besides those secateurs. You know what I mean? So like a sort of lock slot on the tool leprechaun would be pretty interesting. You know, like for example, if you had a bottomless bucket that you want to keep in your bank, but everything else, all the other tools you want to dump in there, you should be able to like deposit all, and it will always remember, okay, the bucket obviously will not go in there because you've locked it. So I think that would be an additional really cool change personally. Allow players to set a default seed on Seedbox. Then allow players with a default seed set to use Seedbox on a farming patch to plant their selected seed. That's so cool. If no seed is set, then whichever seed you have first in the box will be used. That is so fucking cool. I love that idea. Allow players to dig up healthy plants while they're growing for all plants, as is already the case with the herb patches. Thank you. You know what's so tilting, and I'm glad they're changing this, is the fact that like you will accidentally plant the wrong bush patch when your task, like let's just say Amy assigned you to do like white berries and you accidentally planted poison ivy. You'll try to dig it up, this healthy plant that you just planted, and be like, why on earth would literally you're talking to yourself. You're like, why would I possibly want to dig up a healthy plant? And there's a perfectly valid reason for that they won't give you a dialogue for, obviously, which is my fucking farming task is not this. So that's why I want to dig up the fucking healthy plant. I'm cursing so much right now. Because I'm passionate. That's what I'll say. I'm not annoyed. I'm passionate, right, guys? Okay, I'm gonna try to chill with the language from here on out because I did just catch myself just saying way too many. You guys are at work probably, or on the road, or just playing RuneScape, or I don't know what you guys are doing. Let me know down in the comments. But am I just like, am I off my rocker? Like, have I turned into a boomer? Genuinely, let me know down in the comments. I'm gonna just take this feedback. I've been flipping out. I need to calm down, I know, but I do feel like there's a better emphasis of me flipping out and using stronger language to like prove my point, or like to exclaim myself to illustrate how I feel about something a little bit better. But if it becomes like too much, just let me know. Just be like, hey, Sebe, chill, man. Then I'll chill. But if you guys are like, hell yeah, I love this energy, keep up the energy, then I'll keep up the energy, So, but I'll try to chill with the swears at least. All right. Where were we? Yeah, so anyway, I had a whole rant on that, and so I love that they're making this change. Add a right-click clear option to cactus or potato cactus plants or patches with produce. Cactus spines or potato cacti still waiting to be picked, just in case you're in a rush and can't stomach the sight of another magic potion in the bank. That's nice. I just use my spade personally. I've set shift click on my spade to use, and then I just use my spade. By the way, using your spade is actually 1 tick faster to dig up plants. So that's nice. It's like if you picked the final berry off of a berry bush, you can just left click it to clear it, but you can also use your spade on it, and it's 1 tick faster. So interesting. When a player has an active farming contract, display the required seed at the top of the seed vault by default, so that the relevant seed's easier to grab in a pinch. By the way, you know what would be cool is a little overlay, maybe an optional overlay that you could check on or off in the in-game settings. Something that just has an overlay, maybe in like the top right of or the top left of your screen, that just shows what your current task is, and maybe even like a little bar showing its farming rate of like how close it's done, how close it is to being fully grown. So, and it can even like be down in the corner. So it could just, if for example, you had a yew tree contract and you just planted it, but you're in the farming guild, it would only have the overlay inside the farming guild. You're inside the farming guild and you would see a yew tree little image, and then you would see the bar right there. I know we already have like Rune Light and we have the lunar spell to check on your crops and stuff, but specifically for farming contracts, it'd be so cool to see the progress of your current contract. That would be amazing. So anyway, I think that'd be a great little thing to add. Let's continue. Reintroduce sulfurous fertilizer made by combining saltpeter and compost to be used on vine patches within the Hosidius vinery and increase grape yield, including Zamarak grapes, by 20%. We're not dead set on the specific number here, so if you got good reasons to make it higher, then let us know. Speaking of grapes, wasn't Alderin, that whole place, supposed to be like a huge vinery where we're supposed to be like harvesting our own grapes? Whatever happened to that? I thought like the whole purpose of that whole grapevine area was to be able to like make our own wines and stuff. Can we do something with that place? That'd be so cool if you could just go to like a grape field over there and just start like picking um Zamarakian grapes, I don't know. Because I mean, yeah, I don't know. It just feels like nobody's really doing the Hosidius vinery. Just like, does anybody ever actually do that? Anyway. On top of these, we've got one change that we'd like to make but aren't able to make on Java clients, which means Runelite for the majority of you. On our official client, including mobile, we'd like to add a visual indicator to patches to show whether the patch has been composted and which tier of compost has been used. There are already Runelite plugins to do this, so being able to bring players on other clients up to speed would be lovely. Yeah, so I mean, I also love what they do with the compost buckets or the compost bins, I mean. When you examine a compost bin, it shows the amount of contents in the storage. You don't even have to be near it. I could be at a bank, 30 tiles away and right click that compost bin and see exactly how much quantity is in there. So that's an amazing change. And it would be really cool to just be able to examine patches, not inspect them, examine them from far distances and just say, oh, this is composted or not. Like that would instantly basically solve our issues if there was just an examine option that had accurate information about what's planted and whether it's composted or whatnot. You know what I mean? And potentially you could even have examine saying how close it is to being grown. I mean, I guess we already have visuals for that. You can just see the plant itself, but like having additional information just from the examine text would be such an amazing change. So I would love to see examine. Now, before we move on, which I do want to move on because I'm seeing something sexy over here, we need to discuss a few more things. So again, we're touching on quality of life. We're touching on farming. They've added some amazing changes. I love these. But what we please need to do is make it so cactus patches, berry patches, and fruit tree patches can all be double time harvested. So when you go to an allotment patch or an herb patch, you can stand there adjacent for one tick and then double click and release your mouse, and your guy starts harvesting twice as quickly. And it's a really nice feeling. It's a really cool feeling being able to manipulate a patch and get twice the yield, or I guess not twice the yield, but twice the speed of the yield, coming into your inventory. That feels so good. So can we please do that to all patches? All patches where you're harvesting, you should be able to double tap it and get the resources twice as fast. That includes giant seaweed. Giant seaweed right now, when you're harvesting 2 patches, there's times where you'll get like 120 giant seaweed. And having to do that at a 3-tick speed is very slow. If you could harvest 2 at a time every 3 ticks, it'd be twice as fast. And that would feel so much better. It would. It would be an incredible change. And I also brought this up on my stream yesterday, which was the fact that high-level fruit trees, and this could be what Jagex is going for. I highly doubt it. I think this is very outdated. But if this is how they want to design the game, then so be it. I just don't think this is actually their intention. But it's near impossible for any Iron Man to upkeep, especially like mid and entering late game Iron Man. It's basically impossible to upkeep payments for fruit trees. You end up just basically ultra composting all your fruit trees because it's just impossible to upkeep. Like you can't get enough coconuts unless you're Jeoparite and killing, 4,000 Karasks and you just built up a decent chunk. But even those will vanish very quickly after you just do a few tree runs. So my proposal is allow fruit tree harvests to be more than 6. Right now, when you're picking a fruit tree, you only get 6. Back in the day, when you used to pick berry bushes, you would only be able to harvest 4 berries, and that was it. It was capped at 4, and then you'd have to wait 20 minutes or so for, or maybe 80 minutes. It was. I can't even remember. I think it was maybe 80. Maybe it was 20 minutes per thing, or maybe it was 5. I can't remember. But it took forever for a berry to grow back. and then you just get your 4. And they upped that. They upped that. So I now, when I harvest a white berry bush, like sometimes I'll get 60, and that's insane. Like I'll get like 60 berries, which feels so good. Imagine you could do that with a papaya tree, get like 60 papaya fruit potentially. I don't think it needs to be that high, but I think the average pull you should get from a tree should be more than the payment cost for what it is the payment cost for. So that was a terrible string of words, but let me clarify. So if, for example, the payment to protect a palm tree is 15 papaya, then the average pull when you're harvesting your papaya tree should be 15 papayas or more. So you should always be able to upkeep a 1-to-1 tree harvest versus tree payment at the higher tier. So if you've planted a dragon fruit tree and it costs 15 coconuts, your palm trees should be able to at least harvest 15 coconuts. In fact, I would argue 25 or more with coconuts at least. So now I do understand there's an economic point of view with coconuts and papaya, and they do have high costs right now. I really don't think we need to be looking at that. If it makes the price plummet a little bit, I actually think that's a price that we should be willing to pay, basically. Like if that's the negative price for it, I think ultimately it'll be a better feeling toward the game, being able to harvest more things from trees at a double time speed, and for Ironmen to actually feel like they're capable of making these payments. Now, I can already hear in the comments mains flipping out about catering to Ironmen, but like this genuinely just makes the game feel better. And if you are a main that likes to farm, this would make your payments cheaper as well, because ultimately there would be a price drop if we were to start shitting out more of these supplies. But then the other thing you could do is just like nerf Karasks or whatever. I mean, I guess you don't need to nerf Karasks or whatever, but like it's cool to get farming supplies from farming. When you're reliant on killing Ardio out in the wilderness to get your fucking coconuts, or killing Kurass to get your payments, it's just very bizarre. Why can't the payments come from farming themselves? I mean, they already do that, but you just get such a low quantity that's impossible to upkeep. So anyway, that's my personal take on that. And I definitely want to see that, And one more point I'll say, like, and this is something I mentioned on my stream, was like the demonic digger, which they were trying to propose, the demonic spade that was gonna just one tick harvest things. I find it very strange that they'll propose something as broken as that, and then when it gets shot down, they just go back to the drawing board and they're like, well, nothing can change now about it. Why not just hit the middle ground and say double time harvests? Can we just double time harvest across the board? That makes farming feel so much smoother. Your farming runs go so much quicker. Everything becomes so much more of a breeze. I'll also just say the very last thing now, and this I promise will be the very last thing I'll say. We could add something in the future that allows all your, people really wanted this like demonic digger to like speed up their farm runs, but I don't think we need to ever go to that extreme. However, I would be cool with somehow, maybe it could come from some mini game or something, some unlock that allows all harvests to be noted from the get-go. So like if you're harvesting watermelons or snape grass, when you're harvesting, it automatically harvests noted. That could be an incredible update. In fact, that could be a tithe farm reward even. Some crazy tithe farm unlock that allows noted harvests. So I don't think this is even broken. I think it just speeds up your farm runs, and it reduces that annoyance of misclicking the tool leprechaun repeatedly when you're trying to like bank things. That tool leprechaun has like the tiniest, most microscopic click box, and having to repeatedly go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth when harvesting allotments, especially, it just becomes kind of an annoyance at the end of the day. And yeah, I would love to see that be the case. And I'll say that was half of my answer. I would just keep extending this. I even made a promise that was the last thing. But I also have to say, Hispori bucket, listen, the bottomless bucket needs to be guaranteed at 35. It needs to be guaranteed per account at 35. I know this would be the one exception of having a tradable item be a guarantee, but it is ridiculous. I remember seeing the Reddit post of some guy genuinely going over 390. He did 390 Hisporis for his first bucket. That legitimately happened. That's not fake news. That really happened. A man grinded for over a year consistently of Hespori and never had a bucket. That's beyond stupid. Can we please make it so it's guaranteed at 35? All right, moving on now. Other skilling related changes. Ooh. I'm liking the picture I see here. But wait, there's more. Some changes that we'd like to make either don't fit neatly under any category or aren't numerous enough to have their own category. So we've gathered them up into a convenient list. Sailing cannonball production improvements. Making cannonballs at the ancient furnace has been a consistent pain point within the community, especially at the rate at which you make them is slowed down by the fact that there isn't a nearby bank. To improve this, we'd like to propose a nearby NPC that can convert noted metal bars into item form. Due to its powerful convenience, the NPC will charge a higher fee than usual, 100 coins per bar. Additionally, this service will only work for metal bars, no food or items, to avoid unintentional consequences with frost dragons. With this proposal, you'll be smithing cannonballs faster than you can fire them into an unsuspecting bird who is minding their own business and not bothering anybody. Perfect. Okay, let me just say right here, I do like that they're trying to make a change to this. I personally don't think this is the move, though. I also disagree with their point about this, like there being a potential unintentional consequence with frost dragons having a buildable bank chest. So I have offered this, and I actually talked about this in the RS Buddies podcast that I was just on this past week that just got uploaded yesterday. I was talking about so look at this visual right here, Imagine this furnace has a massive cauldron like the one seen in Blast Furnace. So you're going up to the conveyor belt at Blast Furnace and you dump your ore and it goes into this massive cauldron that's just molten metal. I would love to see a cauldron like that where you can just dump bars in there, and beyond bars, you can dump armor into there. So it kind of acts like the Giant's Foundry cauldron that you're pouring into the preform or whatever it's called, that little area, or I guess the preform is the sword itself, right? Oh, I don't know actually the terminology behind that, but the little mold thing where you're gonna go grab your sword, it should have a very similar thing like that, and you can dump up to, let's just throw out a number and just say it holds up to 256 or something. So it can hold up to 256 bars or equivalent in armor. So if you were to chuck in a rune plate body, for example, that becomes whatever the equivalent would be at Giant's Foundry, which I believe is just like one fewer bar or something. I actually really haven't fucked around with dumping armor directly into those cauldrons. So whatever the ratio is, though, would be appropriate. And then that becomes a bar in there. So you're dumping all your leftover rune armor, addy armor, whatever you want in there. And then you're now holding a certain amount of bars. And then what you do is simply click on the furnace and it starts generating those cannonballs from the cauldron. So you're filling up the cauldron, and then the furnace still has that same effect of double timing everything. You can still use the 8 cannonball mold, and everything just becomes really fast, but it also becomes AFK, because truly the point of cannonballs had always been to be AFK. So if we could set up a little cauldron right here, dump in your armor, dump in your bars directly, and then have a certain quantity at the furnace where you're just gonna now consume that whole entire cauldron's worth of stuff into cannonballs. That would be so great. And then right behind it, make it so there's a buildable bank chest. I swear there is not a problem with adding a buildable bank chest, because one, it literally costs over a mil, or around a mil, because it's a magic stone that is required to build it, like cost a mil. So you're spending $1 million just to build this bank, and it's not efficient for frost dragons. It's not. I mean, when you're done killing frost dragons, you don't leave the arena, climb down the little thing, and then run over to the bank. You just teleport out, and you're at a bank in 3 ticks. Or 5 ticks, or wherever you are. You teleport out, you bank, and then you go back to a fairy ring, and you're back at frost dragons. Building a bank here would end up being like less efficient to bank. Like, it truly would be. Like, it would be literally better to just go to your POH and then or go to a bank and then go back to your POH and hit a fairy ring, And most people that are killing frost dragons on repeat probably have a pretty pimped out account and have a POH with a fairy ring in it. So building a bank here literally has no effect other than just a positive. I don't think there's literally any possible unforeseen negative consequence that I can see. And it also is just an additional GP sink. Like I love that Magic Stone feature of like spending 1,000,000 gold to build a bank. So build the bank here, please, and have this be a nice little hotspot where people don't have to just continuously teleport in. I know they're trying to fix that right now with the noted bars and whatever, but seriously, a buildable bank right here makes perfect sense. We've already done that with a bunch of islands. Just do it here. Make the cauldron, dump our armor in there. And listen, this can be a new way to make dragon cannonballs as well, because you could have like dragon plate legs, for example. You could dump dragon plate legs in there and it becomes a certain amount of bars, and Jagex can decide what that number is. So now you can dump your own dragon armor into here and it makes dragon cannonballs. I do not have any problem with that. I think that would be a good thing, a good, healthy thing that perfectly fits the theme of RuneScape, in my view. So anyway, those would be amazing changes, and that's what I would ideally like to see. If they're going to stick with this, it's not the end of the world, but cannonballs are going to be a very active activity. It's very short to smelt an entire inventory of bars with this furnace. It's just like it's very quick. It's to do it. So anyway, those are my suggestions for that. Now let's read on the other changes. Let's see what they have to offer. Allow Wesley and any other NPCs who enjoy crushing items to crush coconuts into coconut milk. Simply provide 1 coconut and 1 vial. Both can be either noted or unnoted to receive 1 vial of coconut milk and 1 coconut shell for a nominal fee. Allow players to store a knife and hammer in the tackle box for processing sacred and infernal eels. When are we just going to get a toolbox? Or a tool bag or a tool, whatever it is. Allow bait to be used directly from the tackle box while fishing, so long as the tackle box is in the inventory. That's gorgeous. Adjust the location of the portal at the Law Altar so that its distance from the altar better matches other Runecraft altars. Likely in the 6 to 10 tile range. Thank you. This is a great change. This is something I felt like Jagex was so resistant to. In fact, I talked about it again on that RS Buddies podcast of like the hesitancy to change any form of skilling, any little aspect that kind of feels off. This is something that kind of feels off. You know, when you're doing Guardians of the Rift and you have to run all that way to the Law Altar, how cool would it be if it was just a shorter distance? And the fact that they're willing to change something that doesn't necessarily need to be changed, but will feel better for players training the skill is a wonderful thing. And I'm grateful for that. The same thing could be applied with like the Fossil Island hardwood trees out there. Can we just, if we were to just simply remap that area just very quickly, I mean, you could just put all 3 trees so that each of them are within 2 tiles of each other. So you just make it this little triangle instead of what we currently have. If you were to make those hardwood trees triangles, that would make 1.5 tick woodcutting and 2 tick woodcutting there the most pleasurable activity of all time. It truly would, because it would be this endless flow of going back and forth between a tree and not having to hit the same tree over and over and having to click an additional time each time. So simply remapping the map and adding skilling spots into more convenient areas for players is so necessary and so healthy. And I really, really, really hope going forward they add additional things like that. And I would say the top priority right now is to simply touch Fossil Island hardwood trees and make it so those 3 patches can all be touching each other. Like that would feel, so good. So good. I would kill for that. Additionally, the monks of Entrana have no say over separate planes of existence, so they shouldn't prevent you from bringing weapons armor to the Law Altar. No more stocking up on bronze pickaxes to drop every time you run through the abyss. That is an amazing change. Great. So I'm assuming the portal back to Entrana is the thing where they're checking, right? Update Runecraft level messages to clearly communicate how the Colossal Pouch improves at the relevant level thresholds. Nice. I love that. Adjust the bonus resource rounding on miscellaneous kingdom management activity. Bonus resources are currently allocated on a fixed threshold. 1 bird nest per 100 logs collected, where any excess is rounded down. For example, 150 logs will round down to 100 and always award 1 bird nest. We'd like to change this to have any partial progress provide a percentage chance to gain an additional reward, similar to how points at Guardians of the Rift work. Beautiful. To use the previous example, this would mean 150 logs collected would guarantee 1 bird nest and provide a 50% chance for a second. Wonderful, wonderful job, Jagex. Beautiful. That these are like these little minor gripes that we don't even really inspect as players that they are deciding is worthwhile to change, and I really, really appreciate that. So thank you to whoever has decided to adjust that. Thank you, Jagex. Update row obtained by cutting fish from barbarian fishing to default to use on left click rather than eat. Naturally, you're able to swap this back if you don't enjoy cut eat or eat cut barbarian fishing. Okay, don't I don't really have a problem with that. It's just like menu entry swapping. Add a don't warn me again dialogue after the 5 Numulite driftnet banking fee. Allow fossils to be deposited into a fossil storage box without requiring a bank pin. Okay. It's not all skilling and number go up changes today, though. We've got something that we'd love to get your thoughts on, and we've wanted to do for a long time. Trouver system rework unpulled. I like hesitated there. I was like, is that how you pronounce it? I already forgot. Trouver. The changes in this section are unpulled because we believe them to be a matter of game integrity and improving a system that can cause significant frustration for players. But we'd like to check in with you first and see how you feel about the proposal before making any changes. For those of you who are reading this title and have no idea what Trouver even means, here's a quick bit of context. Untradeable items are often lost on a PvP death in the wilderness, but obviously can't be looted, meaning an untimely death while wearing your Infernal Cape or Full Graceful can often mean the untradeable items are outright deleted if you're caught unaware during a clue scroll or in a fight. Fortunately, there's a system to help you protect your untradables where you can take a Trouver parchment and 500,000 GP to Purdue, who exists in a variety of locations, to lock the item. Dying with a locked item that isn't protected on death means you'll keep the item. Whoever killed you received the GP you paid to Purdue, and most crucially, you will need to lock the item again. That last bit is in bold because it's exceptionally easy to forget to relock your items after a death, and then see them thrown into the abyss on your next go out in the wilderness. We're proposing a significant change to the system that should help all players reduce the chances of them losing crucial untradables in the wilderness. The general rule of thumb here is the untradables with no combat benefits should never be lost on death. So the general rule of thumb here is that untradables with no combat benefits should never be lost on death. Untradables with some combat bonuses will break and need repairing with a Trouver parchment. And untradables with strong combat bonuses will need to be Trouver'd once and never again. Let's try and break this down. So, okay. First of all, this is great. I'm liking what I'm seeing here, which paints kind of my argument about the sort of like wilderness coffer idea a little bit stronger, which I will mention just briefly at the end of this. So let's see what they have to say. So all tradable items that currently don't break, for example, the Graceful set, will no longer be lost on death above 20 wilderness. This applies to any untradeable item that isn't found on this list. So what is this? Okay, so these are like the combat list. They just link in the wiki here. So here's the list. Higher tier untradables will still use the Trouver parchment with a crucial change. Once a Trouver parchment has been used on an item, it will remain in that state forever. On death below 20 wilderness or in PvP worlds for fights at the Grand Exchange, for example, these higher tier items will simply break and be repairable with a current fee. And then on death above 20 wilderness, the item will become mangled and require a higher fee of 500,000 GP to fix. This means fixing your untradeable should be fast all at once and with no need for extra Trouver parchments. Additionally, attempting to enter the wilderness with any untradeable item that requires a Trouver parchment to be protected will display a warning to make sure that you're aware that you're risking an untradeable. So these higher tier untradables are as followed. In an ideal world, we'd go away with Trouver parchments entirely. Listen, they are literally stating this. In an ideal world, we'd do away with Trouver parchments entirely. But it's not safe for us to take this approach without risking more raw GP generation than we're comfortable with. In effect, what this means is that trying to enter the wilderness with anything that needs protecting will warn you before doing so. And anything that's not giving you meaningful boosts in PvP activities such as the Graceful set won't be lost on death at all. We believe these changes should reduce frustrations for PvPers who forget to relock their infernal capes as much as we love skill specs versus Zuckstream, while also giving non-PvPers more confidence that they won't lose something that they spent hours obtaining and can't readily rebuy. We're in the PvP sphere. Here's another radical proposal. So we're going to read that in a second, but let me just state this. Jagex so I get so much pushback when I suggest that we need to make the wilderness more convenient for players. Like, dying in the wilderness fucking sucks, and they're clearly trying to remedy that. And I will get nonstop pain from people talking about how I want to see the wilderness become easyscape or like overly simplified or whatever, or like taking away the core essence of the wilderness. The wilderness over the years has constantly been trying to be improved upon with conveniences and everything. Trouver parchments and the inception of those and all of these little untradeable things have always been to add convenience to players. This is part of a video game. I mean, we are playing a video game. We want to appeal to players. We want to make them feel like they're having a great time playing a video game. And they're clearly saying that we don't like the current system. We don't like these stupid Trouver parchments, really, but we're scared of, shaking up the metas too much because we got PvPers that just really, they kind of hold two thoughts in mind. One is that PvP is dead and everyone's jumping over to hardcore Iron Man mode because the PvP scene is just completely fried. Nobody's out there doing anything anymore, apparently. And yet they will still hold true to wilderness is perfect, never change it. It's so good. It's like that old school feel and all this bullshit. And it's just like, can we please stop? Can we please just accept the fact that the wilderness is in a terrible state right now, an absolutely terrible state, and we should fix it. And they're trying to fix it, but they do these little teeny band-aid fixes and not just rip the whole thing off. So they are making these updates to add convenience to players, and I have offered ad nauseum the idea of a wilderness coffer that just allows any player to feel this sort of convenience running around the wilderness. And you still have the full risk, the full reward, in fact, even more risk, because I would even suggest a 5 or 10% fee on top of what you're risking. But allowing these sorts of conveniences to make the wilderness not feel as punishing, as in like it's more the punishing aspect is really just the convenience of it all. Like a death on an Iron Man out in the wilderness, where you've lost like untradables and other things, which they're trying to patch up right here, is like such a shitty feeling. It's really terrible. And they're clearly trying to make some amends with that. And I would just say go a step further and just make the wilderness a place where all can benefit, including Iron Man accounts. And again, that is all I've said in the wilderness coffer idea, is trying to allow incentive for all player types to be out there and have an incentive to fight back and engage in combat out there, because the whole point of the wilderness is to fight other players, right? So you should have incentive. All players should have the incentive to fight back. There should be some incentive for doing that. And the Wilderness Coffer allows that incentive. So I'm not going to get all into that, obviously, because I've already been yapping this whole time. So I'll leave it there. But if you guys know what I'm talking about, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to repeatedly for the next literally multiple years continuously advocate for a better wilderness experience. And I think the best thing I've ever heard, like the best concept, the concept that truly would work and help fix the wilderness, in my personal view, is a wilderness coffer. It's the cleanest solution. It revolutionizes the wilderness. And I think we'd have a brand new era of wilderness fun with still the high risk, high reward nature, but just reducing the inconveniences of it all. So. All right, the changes in this section are unpolled, with one exception, since we believe them to be a matter of game integrity, but we'd like to check in with you first and see how you feel about the proposal before making any changes. Before we start, a quick note. These changes were outlined before yesterday's adjustment to LMS gear setups. We know that games take a little longer now and don't inherently believe that to be a bad thing, but we'll be considering adjustments to points awarded or the point costs of rewards separately so that your tangible output per hour is roughly in line with before. Last man standing, a proving ground for irons looking to secure their first rune pouch, though less so in more recent years. A place for players to have a go at PvP without the risk, or a fun spot to get into some action quickly in the evening, between meetings or during an ad break. It's been nearly 10 years since Last Man Standing released, And while many of us have memories of this place, it's impossible to talk about it without addressing the elephant in the room. It's one of the most prolific battlegrounds between us as a team and a seemingly endless stream of bots who ruin the experience for other players. Today, we'd like to propose ripping off the band-aid or plaster where we're from, but the anecdote sounds better this way, and make significant changes to the reward available from Last Man Standing. Our hope is that we can move the activity away from attracting bots like moths to a flame and instead serve as a place for players to actually fight against other players. Learn the ropes of PvP, stock up on blighted supplies or some other useful items, then turn their know-how into confidence when venturing out into the wilderness. Here's what we're suggesting for changes to Justine's stuff for the last shopper standing. Move the following items from the last man standing to the bounty hunter shop, while removing the associated collection log entries. Ooh, interesting. Bounty hunter doesn't have a collection log thing. Bounty hunter is considerably hard to bot, and most of these pertain to items that you're more likely to see in Damon's Crater than in the wider wilderness. So, yeah, literally everything looks like. So they're getting rid of the rune or the looting, or sorry, the rune pouch note, but the rune pouch itself is still being kept at LMS. Interesting. And then all of these are going to be removed too. That's insane. Okay, they're like just clearing out the LMS shop entirely. The items remaining in the shop currently set at a low enough GP per point that we're optimistic people won't bother to bot for them. Meaning your rune arrows are safe and you'll be able to PvP your way towards a swift blade if you've got some Nilocus in your future. Okay. Understandably, this does considerably undercut the reward offering for LMS for legitimate players, which is something we'd love to shore up in the future. In the meantime, we do have one thing we'd like to pull adding here, which may be a boon for PvP enjoyers and irons alike. We'd like to add the Scroll of Imbuing and Blighted Surge Sacks, currently only available from Amir's Arena, to the LMS point shop. I love that. I do love that. Listen, the Scroll of Imbuing needs to be really cheap, though, because right now with the PvP arena, you can get this shit in like 10 minutes. So you got to make the Scroll of Imbuing cheap at LMS. I'm sorry. If you're going to crank it up to 150 points or just something really stupid, it's not going to be worth it. Just make it so LMS is a place where an Iron Man can, get up to like, I don't know, like however many Scrolls of Imbuing they need, like 6 or so. Just, make it so gathering 6 of those maybe just takes like a couple hours at the max, like it really shouldn't cost that many points. I would even say like 10 points. On an average game, or on a game that you win in LMS, you get around 6 or 7 points. I know it's 6 or 7. I don't know why I fucking everything's 6, 7, but like you actually do get 6 or 7 points per win. And I would suggest that like literally getting one full ass LMS win with legitimate people, because you got to keep in mind they're making it so the bots are being cleared out of this area. So you are actually battling real players the whole time. That needs to be like a Scroll of Imbuing should cost like 10 points then. Because if you're really bad at LMS and you're only getting maybe 1 or 0 points a game, that's still going to take you 10 games to get to 10 points. That's a lot of time to spend there when you could just go to the PvP arena and just abandon match and still get points for it. So all I'm saying is the Scroll of Imbuing needs to be cheap at the LMS shop. We appreciate that this is a big swing, but believe that this is something that should be done sooner to help curb the presence of rule breakers and bad faith actors abusing the minigame and ruining the experience for regular players. Let us know what you make of these changes, and make sure to visit our player support and anti-cheating statistics page if you're curious about our efforts to crack down on rule breakers so far in 2026. That's all we've got today, so leave us a bit of your feedback and we'll come back with you with updated proposals if necessary. Otherwise, just keep an eye out for the poll coming soon to a poll booth near you. I love this. I love this. I love the quality of life stuff. They've done a great job here. I'm just going to reiterate. I love the gem bag, again, to hold 100 at the very top version. And if not, if they're very adamant about the 60 number, at least make it so the pouch holds 20, the satchel holds 40, the tote holds 60. There's no reason for the tote to hold 3 times less. And then when you combine it with the gem bag, all of a sudden it holds 3 times more. It's just very bizarre. And then, of course, I'm not going to go down the list necessarily because I just talked so much about it all. But yeah, I've obviously brought up a lot of different ideas. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on all those because ultimately we are playing a community-run game. I love having an audience that can listen to some of the ideas that I share. And thank you all so much for listening. As always, if you'd like to support my content, I I'm in it for the long haul. I'm gonna be creating RuneScape content for the rest of my life, preferably. I'd love this game to survive. This is why I'm so passionate about creating a healthier game. Ultimately, I want this game to thrive because it's a part of my livelihood as well for this game to succeed. So, if you guys want to support me in that effort to keep this show going and to allow me to continuously make content, my life is changing. I'm a 30-year-old man. I'm going to be moving in with my girlfriend, probably end up getting married and have kids and stuff. And like, I would love for RuneScape to continue to be my career. So this is sort of like a little sellout segment. But if you guys want to help me create that a reality, and to help make that a true possibility for me, you can do so by supporting me for just $2 a month on YouTube, on Spotify, or on Patreon, or subscribe to me on Twitch, or even just drop a little super chat or whatever on YouTube or whatever else. It all goes a long way, and it really does help support me. It inspires me. It helps motivate me to create better content for you guys. It really does. Having less financial stress truly does allow me to be more creative, to allow me to relax and create content and to be less anxious about everything I'm doing. Seriously, I'm gonna go on just for like another minute here because I never really talk about this, and I'm just gonna I don't talk. I probably won't talk about this in future videos. So I'm just gonna leave it all here because it's already a super long-winded say's take. But being a content creator is very stressful, and that stress ends up like seeping in poisonously into content. Like when you lose confidence that this is even a sustainable career path, it kills creative juices in creators. It ends up putting them into a sort of mild like fight or flight state of just like it feels like you're in survival mode to just make content. Like you have to get something out there to pay your bills. And I'm not just speaking for myself. I'm in a very great position. I mean, I'm definitely a small creator, and I still, just kind of like live month to month for the most part. And it is stressful for me, and I want to get to the point where that isn't as much, and you guys truly have been creating or making that a reality. Like, the amount of support I already get from you guys is insane, and I am thankful for it every single day. So anybody that is supporting, thank you so much. And if you guys would like to be a supporter, it would mean the world to me. It really would. So thank you all so much. Thank you for listening. Thanks for letting me do what I do. Thanks for letting me be an obnoxious clown that's swearing in the mic about RuneScape, this stupid point and click game that I just fucking love and you guys all love. Thank you for letting this be something I can do in my life here on Earth. Thank you guys so much. I don't take it for granted. I'm truly, truly blessed by you guys. Thanks. Thank you so much. That's all I have to say. Hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, and I will catch you guys very soon. See ya.